This week, after hauling Symphony back out of the water to make some repairs after a failed start to our season, we get back on the water quickly and head north to catch up with friends in Saint Lucia. While there, we enjoy a few land excursions, then press on to Martinique ahead of some bad weather setting in. It was a crazy sail.
'Cause even in the madness, there is peace, drowning out the voices all around me. Through all of this chaos, you are writing a symphony, a symphony. Oh.
Last week, we left off with us hauling the boat out early and heading home to Georgia for Christmas. And we had a great holiday with the whole fam. William even took a break from sleeping to make an appearance. But this isn't a Christmas video, so let's pick up with us going back to Grenada to restart our season. Good morning. We are back on Symphony. We're actually still on the hard, and we're supposed to splash this morning. We had a couple of problems with the boat that required haul out. As expected, communication was weak over the Christmas break because people were doing Christmas break stuff, and the main thing that we needed fixed, our inverter, the part that we need is still in customs. So we're gonna splash, and in theory it should get out of customs. We can put the board into the inverter and put the inverter back in the boat, and then everything should be fine. But with a lot of this stuff, you have to just assume things aren't going to go to plan and make sure you have good alternatives. So our alternative right now is to sit on the dock here as long as they will let us, and then we might go around the corner to another marina. We kind of got to be at a marina to load the inverter onto the boat because it's big and heavy. So that's our plan for now. We'll see how this week goes. The boat sitting for 6-7 weeks on the hard is just fine. Everything seems to be in order. We got a lot of things fixed. We added some new canvas, which is really nice. All we really got to do is put the head sail back on and we'll be ready to function, and we'll see how it all goes. For some reason, this splash seemed a lot less stressful than the last one. Maybe because we're getting used to it. One important note, we had them splash with a travel lift. After the trailer damaged our hulls on the last splash, we figured we'd avoid further complications. Clark's Court was great and they covered all repairs, so our hull is looking good as new. Unfortunately, we got booted off the dock early the next morning, so we shoved off and went around to get on a ball at Port Louis to do some checks. So one of the problems that we had to turn back for was water in our sail drives. Now, sail drives are kind of like the transmission on your engine. It's the gearing that spins the prop, and there's oil in there, and there's a seal on the shaft that's exposed to the water. And if water gets through that seal, it'll show up in the oil, and your oil will look milky. And we found water in both sail drives after getting up to the Grenadines. So we turned back because you need to haul out to replace those seals. So as a precaution, now that we're back in the water, I'm just going through and checking oil levels on everything that was done on our boat to make sure that we won't have this problem again. My suspicion is that when the sail drive oil was replaced over the summer while we were on the hard, is that it was overfilled, and you should never overfill oil on anything. There's nowhere for it to go, and when it gets hot, if it were to expand, it would go the place of least resistance. In this case, through the seals on the shaft, so oil goes out. When it cools, it'll pull something back in. It'll create a vacuum, and it'll pull seawater in. And that's my suspicion of what happened, that it was overfilled. So imagine my surprise when I go and check sail drive oil now, and it's filled way above the top level on the indicator. These are way overfilled. It's really bad. So now I've got to pump some oil out and try to get it to the exact level. Lesson learned? Trust but verify when others do work on your boat. We eventually got the inverter repaired and installed, and that, plus a valve job on the generator, ended up getting us back on track and underway to catch up with friends in Saint Lucia.
Boat all dirty?
I know. Get these off here.
Oh gosh, honey.
In St. Lucia, we were able to meet back up with Wind Therapy and Inca Cross, so we got together for breakfast to plan out the next several days. Jeff was really helpful and engaging. We rented a car and picked a few spots we had never been to on St. Lucia. One of the issues with driving yourself is that sometimes Google Maps doesn't handle Caribbean roads correctly, and you get taken down back roads.
You ever meet a Google engineer, punch him in the mouth for this.
But you eventually get there, and sometimes you see this, masses of people from cruise ships. I don't have anything against people taking cruises. I think it's a great way to see really neat places. But the passengers do seem to jam up some attractions. What we typically do is take a look at Cruise Mapper to find out what ships are coming in. It's a great way to see how many people are coming to port on a ship and the times it's arriving and departing. Using this info, you can plan around the ships coming and going, and hopefully the attractions you go to are going to be less crowded. Unfortunately, we didn't do that on this day, and it was a little crowded. But it was easy enough to find some space. This turned out to be a nice botanical garden with a great-looking waterfall. Since we were in the area and nobody else had done it before, we went on the Tet Paul Nature Trail. This was our third time doing it, but the payoff was still the same. A grand view of the Pitons. After getting thoroughly soaked, we decided to head back for the day and resume the adventures tomorrow, where we went to a rainforest gondola ride.
You guys need to poop?
Do you not need to
Do you need to poop?
No, I pooped before I got here.
Yeah, or we pooped. We're clear.
We're clear.
One other way to avoid crowds is to go to places crowds can't go, like this one. You had to make reservations, and there are a limited number of slots each day. This ended up being a really cool excursion. It was a slow and quiet ride, and our guide Kenny was really informative. As we went up into the rainforest, he was constantly pointing out different interesting plants and animals. Once you get to the top, you're turned around to run above the cars ascending, giving you a different view of the rainforest below. This was a great diversion. It took about an hour and a half for the ride. Afterwards, we did a hike through the lower part of the rainforest. This was neat. This tree is used to make incense. It's related to frankincense.
Wow, that is definitely going to leave a scar.
That's going to leave a mark.
It was really great seeing the rainforest from 3 different levels. This trip was well worth doing. But just as we were getting into a groove, the weather dictated that we needed to move along.
We also have Todd Rogers,
Using Chris Parker for weather, you can ask routing questions to get a take on how feasible your particular trip is going to be. And it turned out our next hop needed to happen pretty quick to avoid some high winds settling in, so we decided to head north. This morning, we're headed to Martinique. We're in Saint Lucia right now, and there's a brief window, like today, to get across. After today, the trade winds set in, and there'll be 8, 9, 10, 12-foot seas out there between the islands. So we gotta go. It's not ideal. There are a lot of squalls rolling through, but those are predicted to dissipate as the day wears on. And it's about a 4-hour sail. If we get lucky, the wind angle will be right, and we'll be going a little bit downwind, which will make it a lot more comfortable than the beating that we took to get up here. So here we go. Bye, Jeff. All right, we'll see ya. All right, we're in between Saint Lucia and Martinique, and it is brisk out here. We're seeing 22 knots of wind. I got a reef in each sail, and we're still hitting 9, and we've gone over 10 knots out here. The seas aren't bad when you're going this fast, so that's good. It Cross is out over there. There's some squalls, but you know, you just gotta pay attention and don't stress the sails. And well, we know we're gonna be there. I thought this was gonna take 4 hours, and I think it's gonna be a lot shorter than that. We're averaging 8, and I think that average will bump up to 8.5 to 9 by the time we get in the lee of Martinique. So really fun sail, but you have to pay attention a lot to make sure that you aren't getting big gusts and pushing the sails up beyond where they should be, and then, you know, turn into the wind a little bit or turn downwind just to take the stress off of it. So should be there before we know it.
These kinds of sails look scary, but they're fun. There's lots of noise, things are moving fast. There's just something awesome about the wind pushing you through the chaos of these waves. Well, we're pretty close to Martinique now. I think we got another 8 miles to our anchorage, and we've seen all kinds of sailing, and we're about to see a little bit more. We were pointed all the way up to 60 degrees. Now we're downwind, and the wave direction has switched around a little bit too. We're about to get in the lee of the island, but we have another squall behind us, so you gotta really be on your toes sailing between these islands. Conditions change by the minute, but really fast sail. I think we averaged about 8. We hit 11.3 for max speed, and you know, it's not over yet. So looking forward to a new country and exploring all the French foods and stores that Martinique has to offer. All right, what's this called? Once de what? I don't know if it's day. I think it's...
Yeah, he said day, like when he texted to us.
Okay. So this is Once de Arlette, or Once d'Arlette. Good sail overall, and now we're going to go get some croissants. Anchor Cross is right there. Getting anchored, and the water is amazing here. So I think we will be making water in this anchorage. Thanks for sticking with us and watching. It's been a lot of fun putting these videos together, and we're now back up to almost real time. And speaking of real time, if you want to see what we're doing right now, follow us on Instagram. Thanks again for watching, and we'll see you next week.